That's exactly how it unfolded. Once, twice, three times, then again and again. 6 interruptions in a row, each louder, each bolder, each meant to drown out Obama's words. The chamber counted them like blows in a brawl. But when Trump lunged in the 7th time, expecting to roll over him again, Obama finally struck. He didn't shout. He didn't flinch. He delivered one calm, cutting line that dropped like stone on steel. And in an instant, Trump fell silent. Stay with us. And if you haven't yet, hit subscribe, because that 7th line is the moment you'll never forget. The room was built for order, but everyone knew chaos was coming. The chamber looked like a cathedral of politics, high ceilings, polished mahogany desks, microphones glowing red, cameras perched like hawks along the back wall. On paper, it was supposed to be a neutral forum, one man presenting his record, another questioning it. But the moment Donald Trump walked in, neutrality left the room. He strode to his seat with the swagger of a showman, not a statesman. He waved at the gallery, pointed at reporters, cracked a grin for the cameras. His voice carried even before his mic was on. We're going to tell the truth tonight, folks. You're about to see it. Barack Obama entered differently, quietly. No waving, no theatrics, just calm composure. His notes folded neatly in front of him, his gaze steady. Where Trump's energy filled the room like a thunderstorm, Obama's presence was still water, steady, controlled, waiting. The chairman gavelled the session open. His first question was directed to Obama. How do you evaluate America's leadership role during your presidency compared to what came after? Obama leaned forward, voice even. When we talk about America's role in the world, we have to... Failed, Trump barked, cutting across him before the second sentence was out. Nobody did worse on the world stage than this guy. Total embarrassment. The chairman tapped his gavel. Mr. Trump, you'll have your turn. But Trump didn't stop. Everybody knows it. Ask NATO, ask China. Weakest leadership ever. That was the first interruption. Obama waited. His face betrayed nothing, just the faintest trace of patience wearing thin. He began again. As I was saying, America's leadership requires strength, Trump snapped, louder this time, which you didn't have. I had it. Everyone says so. Tremendous strength, the best. That was the second interruption. The audience stirred. Some chuckled, others groaned. Reporters scribbled. The tension rose. Obama inhaled quietly, adjusted his papers, and tried again. When we built international coalitions, Trump leaned in, voice booming. Coalitions? You mean disasters. Iran deal. Paris Accord. The worst deals in history. Third interruption. The gavel struck again, but it was useless. Trump was rolling. By the 4th, 5th, and 6th interruptions, the pattern was undeniable. Each time Obama opened his mouth, Trump cut across, louder, brasher, fists tapping the desk for punctuation. The room wasn't hearing answers. It was watching a brawl. Obama, though, never raised his voice, never gestured wildly. He just waited each time, letting Trump's interruptions stack like a count the whole chamber couldn't ignore. 6 times in less than 10 minutes. 6. And still, Obama didn't strike back. Not yet. He sat steady as if marking the moment, waiting for the Iraq point when restraint would become power. 6 interruptions in, the chamber was boiling. The chairman's gavel had all but lost its authority. Every time Obama opened his mouth, Trump was there, leaning into the mic, talking over him, rolling his sentences into noise. By now, the count wasn't just in Obama's head. It was in the gallery's whispers, in the reporter's notes. That's 5. Now 6. Trump smiled wider with each cut. He thrived on chaos, on keeping his opponent off balance. He jabbed his finger toward Obama, raising his voice like a rally chant. This man left America weak. Weak borders, weak military, weak economy. Everybody knows it. Some in the audience chuckled nervously. Others groaned. Reporters scribbled furiously, pens racing to capture every line. Obama stayed still. He hadn't yet raised his voice above his natural cadence. He watched Trump, eyes steady, like a boxer measuring his opponent's rhythm. Finally, Obama leaned in, waiting for Trump's noise to settle just enough. "Mr. Trump," he said calmly, "if you're finished." Trump wasn't. Never finished. "That's the problem with you. You always quit too soon. You never had stamina. No stamina, folks. None." The sixth interruption. The crowd buzzed, half in disbelief, half in anticipation. The chairman tried again. "Mr. Trump, this is the last warning." Trump leaned back, smirking, unbothered. He had turned the hearing into a show. Or so he thought. Obama folded his hands, his tone calm enough to cut through the noise. "You've interrupted me 6 times. That says more about your respect for this country than any speech you will give tonight." The room went still. It wasn't the 7th line yet, but it was the prelude, the tightening of the coil before release. Trump chuckled, waving his hand dismissively. "Cute line, Barack. Real cute. But I've beaten better people than you. You don't scare me." But the laughter in the room had thinned. The tension was shifting. Obama glanced at the chairman, then back to Trump. His voice carried an edge now, still calm but sharper. "I'm not here to scare you. I'm here to remind the country that leadership isn't measured by volume." The audience murmured. Reporters underlined the line in their notes. Even the gavel didn't strike. The chairman knew something heavier was building. The 6th interruption had landed. Everyone in the chamber, from the panel to the gallery to the millions watching on screen, leaned in. They knew the 7th was coming. They were waiting. The 7th interruption came like a hammer. The reply came like a knife. Obama began again, voice even, calm as ever. "When America leads," Trump pounced. He leaned across the desk, jabbing his finger, voice booming. "When America leads. You mean when America follows. You were a follower, Barack. Weak, pathetic. The worst president in history. Everybody knows it. Everybody says it." That was the 7th. The gallery tensed. 6 interruptions had been loud, but the 7th felt heavier, final. The line between noise and collapse. The chairman reached for his gavel, but before he could strike, Obama leaned into his microphone. His voice was quiet, calm, deadly clear. "Donald, if you can't stop interrupting long enough to hear me, then maybe you're not afraid of my record. Maybe you're afraid of the truth." The chamber froze. Trump blinked, caught off guard. The smirk faltered. His mouth opened as if to fire back, but no words came fast enough. Reporters scribbled in a frenzy, underlining every word. Photographers snapped the exact moment. Trump mid-gesture, lips parted, silence pouring out instead of sound. Obama didn't stop. He straightened his papers, added only one more sentence, sharp as steel. "You can shout over my words, Donald, but you can't shout over your own record." The silence afterward was suffocating. The audience didn't laugh. They didn't clap. They just stared, absorbing the weight of the strike. Trump shifted in his chair, eyes darting, jaw tightening. For the first time in the night, he looked cornered. The chairman, sensing the shift, didn't gavel. He didn't need to. The silence itself had gavelled the moment closed. The count was complete. 6 interruptions had been chaos. The 7th had been collapse. 6 interruptions built the storm. The 7th line changed the weather. For the first half of the exchange, Trump had owned the noise. His voice thundered. His hands cut the air. His interruptions carried the weight of inevitability. But after Obama's line, "You can shout over my words, Donald, but you can't shout over your own record." The atmosphere shifted. The laughter that had followed Trump's barbs earlier was gone. What replaced it was silence. And silence sided with Obama. Reporters in the gallery scribbled faster, their eyes no longer darting between both men, but fixed squarely on Obama. One muttered to another, "That's the pull quote." Another whispered, "Trump looks stunned. That's the shot." Even the chairman, who had been slamming his gavel in futility, now leaned back in his chair. He didn't bother trying to command order anymore. The exchange itself had done the work for him. Trump, sensing the shift, tried to regain control. He sat forward, fists tapping the desk, his voice sharp. "Fake news, you're a disaster, Barack. Everyone knows it. You left the country in ruins. I rebuilt it. Tremendous job, the best job ever. People loved me, not you." But the force wasn't landing anymore. His voice rose, but it felt thinner, desperate. The audience didn't react with chuckles this time. They sat still, watching the contrast grow starker by the second. Obama adjusted his tie, his gaze steady, his voice unshaken. Donald, every president gets judged. By history, by the people, and by the truth that doesn't go away when you yell. History judged me, and history will judge you. The line was calm, deliberate, almost merciful, but it landed like a hammer. A senator on the panel who had been grinning earlier during Trump's outbursts now shifted uncomfortably, avoiding the cameras. Another leaned back, lips pressed thin. The shift wasn't just in the words, it was in the faces around the room. Trump tried again, but his rhythm must faltered. He repeated phrases. Weak, disaster, terrible. But the repetition only made the silence afterward heavier. Obama didn't press further. He didn't need to. He simply folded his notes, letting the chamber breathe in the contrast. One man rattled and loud, the other calm and steady, letting silence do the work. The gallery knew what they were witnessing. The count of interruptions had ended, but the clip had just begun. The silence in the chamber became noise across the nation. It started with a single notification. A reporter in the back glanced at his phone, then blinked twice. "It's already out," he whispered. Within seconds, other screens lit up. The clip was 32 seconds long. Trump jabbing his finger, shouting over Obama for the 6th time, then lunging again on the 7th, only to be met with Obama's calm, devastating line. "You can shout over my words, Donald, but you can't shout over your own record." The video spread like wildfire. Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, everywhere the line replayed, looping over images of Trump's stunned expression. His mouth open, but no words coming out. The captions were brutal. 7th time equals silence. Obama drops hammer. Trump shouted. Obama ended it. Inside the chamber, the shift was palpable. A staffer coughed into his hand, hiding a smile. Senators who had been leaning Trump's way now shuffled uncomfortably, their eyes darting to the cameras, aware that their reactions might be clipped next. Trump tried to regain the rhythm, his voice booming louder, almost desperate. "Out of context! Fake numbers, fake history, fake everything. People know me, Barack. They love me. Not you, me." But even as he spoke, reporters weren't writing his words anymore. Their pens flew across the page to document the silence that followed Obama's strike. They weren't quoting Trump. They were quoting the line that had already gone viral. Producers in control rooms didn't bother waiting for the hearing to end. Cable news split screens filled with the clip. Chyrons appeared instantly. Obama shuts down Trump after 6 interruptions. By the time the chairman tapped his gavel again, the video had crossed 500,000 views. Obama didn't bask. He didn't gloat. He simply sat back, hands folded, calm as though the duel had ended minutes ago. His restraint became its own weapon, and the contrast with Trump's red face and raised voice was undeniable. In the gallery, one journalist muttered, "That's the debate right there. Everything else is filler." Another nodded, "They won't remember the 6 interruptions. They'll remember the 7th. And they were right. The hearing wasn't confined to wood-paneled walls anymore. It was already a headline, already a meme, already a moment seared into the country's imagination. Even without words, the room had already chosen its winner. By the 25th minute, the duel wasn't just about interruptions anymore. It was about posture, expressions, and silence. Donald Trump sat forward, jaw clenched, his tie tugged slightly off-center from the force of his gestures. He still spoke, but the tone betrayed him. Louder, faster, defensive. Barack Obama sat back, calm, composed. His hands rested loosely on the desk, his notes closed, as if he knew he wouldn't need them again. The contrast was stark, one man shouting, the other letting the room lean toward him in quiet. Across the dais, senators who had smirked during Trump's first outbursts now shifted uncomfortably. One tapped his pen nervously against the desk, the sharp clicks picked up by nearby microphones. Another leaned back in his chair, lips pressed thin, avoiding the cameras. The faces that once encouraged Trump's swagger now looked like liabilities in the making. In the gallery, reporters exchanged knowing glances. Their notes reflected not just words, but visuals. Obama steady, Trump rattled. Trump red-faced, voice cracking. Panel quiet, no laughter left. AOC, seated 2 rows down as an observer, whispered something to her aide, but her eyes stayed fixed on Trump's face. She didn't need to say it aloud. He looked shaken. Trump jabbed a finger toward Obama again, his voice booming. "You destroyed this country. Weakest president in history." But even as he said it, his face betrayed frustration, not dominance. The words felt recycled, emptied of force by the silence that followed. Obama tilted his head slightly, his faint smile returning. He didn't speak. He didn't need to. The silence itself was the answer. The chairman glanced at his gavel, but didn't strike it. He knew the duel had shifted. Nothing he said could change the story already written on every face in the room, and it was written clearly. Trump had lost control, not because his voice faltered, but because the silence around him had grown louder than his words. The duel that began with noise ended with silence. Trump was still talking, his words tumbling, faster, louder, more desperate. "Disaster president! Weak, everybody says it." But no one in the chamber wrote those words down anymore. The pens had stopped tracking his insults. The cameras had already chosen their moment. Obama calm, steady, his 7th line echoing in silence. The chairman leaned back. Senators avoided eye contact. The gallery sat frozen. All eyes turned to Obama. Not because he was speaking, but because everyone knew he would. He leaned into his microphone, his voice calm, quiet, measured. "Donald, interruptions don't make you strong. They make you afraid. And when history looks back, it won't count how many times you shouted. It will count how many times you failed to listen." The room froze. Trump's mouth opened, but no sound came. His eyes darted toward the cameras, then back to the desk. For the first time all night, he had nothing left to say. Obama leaned back, folded his hands, and gave the cold close. "You've interrupted me 6 times. Tonight, the 7th interruption ended you." The silence that followed was absolute. The duel was finished. Was Obama right to shut Trump down with that 7th line? Or did he go too far? Tell me what you think in the comments. And if you missed our last story, Mike Huckabee questions Jasmine Crockett's morals. Her Bible quote leaves him shocked. Go watch it now. Don't forget to hit subscribe because the next clash will be even bigger.